What if you had a tool that told you the exact right decision in almost any moment of your life? So it would be a tool that could take the stress out of big choices that you were debating between. Like, should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Should I date this person? Should I not date this person? Should I go here? Should I go there? So imagine if you could just tune in and know exactly what the right choice to make was in such a way that you would feel totally at peace. And here's the beautiful part. You actually already have this tool. In fact, you were born with it. And this tool is called your intuition. But most of us are literally only using a fraction of this beautiful gift that we've been given because no one ever taught us actually how to develop and tune into our intuition. So if you would love to enhance your intuition even more, today I'm going to share with you 5 proven steps for developing your intuition. We're going to talk about the science behind it, the ways that it actually signals you, and how to tell it apart from fear, as well as an exercise to help you find your own inner compass right now. It is going to be awesome, so let's dive in. There is an organization called the Institute of Heart Math that does real, measurable scientific research on the heart and the energy of the heart. And here is what's remarkable. You and I actually have neurons in our heart. Most of us think of neurons, we just think of the brain. No. We actually have neurons in our heart. And in addition to that, your and my heart gives off a much stronger electromagnetic field than our brain produces. And so here's the key finding, that your heart is actually constantly sending you a steady stream of information up to your brain, up to your mind, constantly signaling you, constantly guiding you, constantly directing you. But most of us are literally only perceiving a tiny percentage of this guidance. Why is that? Because most of us have been trained to listen to our ego or listen to fear or listen to history than we have been trained to listen to the intuitive guidance that's signaling us in every moment. Think about what that means. You are connected right now to something much bigger than you. You as a spiritual being in this human experience, you are connected to spirit. Call it source, call it God, call it infinite intelligence. And it is always quietly signaling you all day long. But the ego, the part of us that runs on fear and logic and like, well, this is the way that it's always been done, what'll happen is it will just simply override that signal. I need to be safe. I need to stay in control. So let's just repeat the past, keep things the way they've been going. And so developing your intuition is all about learning how to slow down the mind and finally hear the signals that have been coming through this whole time. In a moment, I'm going to give you 5 powerful proven steps for how to do just that. But first, let me give you an example, because in really wanting to develop my own intuition and to have it guide me and lead me in creating a life that I would love, I've been studying this for years. And there was a moment where I was really sending a request to Spirit saying, I want to hear from you. I want to be guided. I want you to give me intuitive hits. And so my family and I were going on a ski trip up to Mammoth. And we had packed the car. There was a great storm coming up. We were going to have fresh powder. And so on the way up to Mammoth, we stopped to get some food. And there's a hardware store right across from this restaurant. And I hear this voice say, go get some antifreeze. And I'm thinking, I don't need antifreeze. Like, our car is brand new. I'm not going to need antifreeze. And then I hear it again, go get antifreeze. And I argue again, because logically it's a new car. We don't need antifreeze. And then I hear it again, Matt, cross the street, get some antifreeze. And then I remembered, I had asked for intuitive guidance. And one of the keys is you've got to be willing to act on the guidance you're getting to get more of that kind of guidance. And so I said, okay, I'm going to listen. So I told my wife, hey, I'll be right back. I'm going to cross the road to get some antifreeze. She was like, we don't need antifreeze. I was like, I know we don't need antifreeze. I'm going to get some anyway. So I went and got the antifreeze, big old 2-gallon, put it in the back of the car. And I'm thinking maybe we've got a crack somewhere and we're going to need this antifreeze. There's a big storm coming. So we were up in Mammoth for 5-6 days. And every morning I'm going down to the garage and I'm checking the car and nope, the antifreeze is full. Next day, check it. Antifreeze is full. We go the whole week. We're about to drive home. I go and I check the car. Antifreeze is full. I'm like, why did I buy this antifreeze? And so then we're driving home, 6-hour drive. We're halfway through this drive in the middle of the desert. And I see pulled over on the side of the road a car with a woman and her baby and the husband looking for a signal because there's no signal out there and they're stranded on the side of the road. So I pulled to the side of the road and I'm thinking, maybe this is why we bought the antifreeze. And I backed up, I opened the trunk, pulled out the big jar of antifreeze, and I went to them and I said, hey, you guys don't need antifreeze, do you? And the woman's eyes got big as saucers and tears filled her eyes. And she was like, oh my gosh, we've been stranded out here for hours. This is exactly what we need. And her husband like comes up to me and gives me this big hug. And he was like, dude, you are an angel in human form. And so I gave them the antifreeze and they were off, and I got back in the car and I've got tears in my eyes and Irene is crying. She's got tears in her eyes. And I just said, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for sending me those signals. And thank you, God, for helping me listen to those signals. Because here's what I believe. I believe that we are all actually angels in human form, but only to the degree that we can actually let ourselves be guided. And so that's the whole thing. We are being guided all the time. The question is whether or not you're listening. So how do we actually turn that guidance into something that we can really receive and hear? And so this guidance really shows up in 4 main ways. And so noticing how it shows up is really the first piece. And everybody's got their own unique way in which they receive this guidance. But here are the 4 main ways that you want to pay attention to. The first is a voice. Like I heard this voice saying, go buy some antifreeze. You're going to hear something, almost like words. It's a message that says, hey, call that friend, or don't go down that road. Like it's guiding you. You're going to hear it. The second type of signal is a feeling. So it's going to be this strong, compelling pull. Like you really just need to take that walk today, or you need to pull the car over and sit by that river. And you can't quite really explain it. Like, why do you feel drawn to that? And one of my mentor's books, his name is Gay Hendricks. He was writing a story about a man who had always wanted to meet the Dalai Lama, and how he was on his way to this business meeting and he just felt compelled to pull the car over and go to this little cafe. And he was walking towards this cafe down this passageway. He saw a group of individuals and whatnot, and that were making their way down this little passageway, and it was the Dalai Lama. And it was his dream come true, and it was the guidance that led him to that moment, to meeting one of his all-time heroes and mentors. So we've got, you might hear a voice, you might have a strong feeling. The third signal is an image that you might see, right? It's a thought that drops in out of nowhere. Years ago, I was driving on the freeway, cup of coffee in the holder, and this image dropped into my mind that, oh, if I get rear-ended, this coffee's going to spill all over me. And I brushed it off. I was like, it's all good. And then it came again. I brushed it off again. And then sure enough, all the traffic came to a quick stop. I stopped and I was fine. But the guy behind me in the pickup truck slammed into my car and the coffee goes all over me. And I was really confused actually by that experience. And I was asking one of my mentors, did I attract that? Did I call that into being? And the mentor said, no, you were being sent an intuitive signal, like a premonition that says, do you want this situation to happen? You might alter how you're being so you can create a different situation. And so now whenever I get the thought of, I might get rear-ended, I look at how closely I'm driving against the car in front of me and I back off and I create more space. So the third is an image. The fourth kind of signal is a sign, right? It might be from the outer world. Like, for example, my sister loves doves. And whenever she sees doves, that's a sign. For you, it might be butterflies or some other sign that's signaling you with a message or direction that you'll want to notice. So we have a voice, we have a feeling, we have an image, and we have a sign. So you want to pay attention to which ones tend to be the strongest for you. You can have all of them, but usually your intuition is going to come to you in one of those more than the others. And so one of the big questions that my clients always ask is, well, how do I differentiate between an intuition and my fear or just like overthinking? And so here's a really important key that really gives you the ability to differentiate it. Your intuition is never going to be sourced in fear. So it's never going to be the shouting voice or the aggressive voice or the demanding voice. It's never going to be screaming like, hurry, hurry, do it, do it, do it. Even when the message is something that might be dangerous, like getting rear-ended, that image didn't come to me in this fear-based voice or image. It's really interesting. The message is always going to come to you in this very calm, usually quiet or subtle, gentle experience sourced in love. That's the tell. Fear is going to be loud, urgent, frantic. Your intuition is going to be calm, soft, peace, sourced in love. And so when you feel that anxious, rushing, I got to decide right now energy, that's usually your paradigm or fear talking. Instead, when it's steady and quiet, or this peace feeling, even if it doesn't make sense, like, hey, go buy the antifreeze, that's the one to trust. So how do you turn up the volume on these signals that are coming your way? Here is the sequence. There's a special 5-step sequence that I promised you. Here's what it is. Step 1 is you've got to calm the mind. So in other words, pause and breathe. Stepping out of the busy, hectic, egoic situation that most of us live in all the time. And when your mind is calm, then step 2 is connect to source. So in other words, remind yourself that there is one presence, there is one power, and you are one with this presence and power. So you're not separate from it, you're actually one with it, and that begins to orient your mind differently and bring you closer to that source. Step 3 is to generate the feeling tone of gratitude. This is a game changer, because gratitude is the frequency most harmonious with your source. And so when you're in a state of gratitude, you're actually closer to your source, or at least your perception is more aligned with source so that you can receive these signals even stronger. And then step 4 is receive. So ask a question. Be open to receptivity. Allow whatever's going to come to you. Ask for guidance today, and then listen. And this is key. You don't want to judge. You don't want to be like, well, that didn't work or that, because it's always working. Right now, you're receiving guidance. Right now, you're receiving messages that are coming through. And so play with this. Have some fun with this. Receive the intuitive guidance about who you might need to call or an action to take or something to do, and receive it and honor it as guidance. And then step 5, and this is the big one, is take action on it. Actually put it to action. This is why intuitions become really, really strong, because individuals don't just receive the nudge, they act on them and they validate them, and then therefore they receive the next one even stronger, and it becomes this reinforced loop. The more you honor it, the more intuitive hits become stronger, you'll recognize them better, and you will be guided in even more profound ways. So here is your homework if you are willing to accept it. And I encourage you to do this. Sometime today, take a moment. Instead of swiping on more social media, take 2 quiet minutes, calm your mind, generate a state of gratitude, ask for guidance, and then whatever idea comes your way, don't judge it, act on it. It might feel small. It might feel like a little bit weird if you're going to do that. Do it anyway, because it might just be your antifreeze moment, leading you to something magical, setting you up to be exactly where you need to be at the exact right moment. And remember this, you are far more powerful and far more connected than you even realize. And the more you listen, the more that connection grows. And so my question for you is, what's a moment when you've really felt your intuition guiding you and you were able to connect the dots? Like, what's your antifreeze moment? I would love to hear your story in the comment section below. I appreciate you. Here is to you creating and living a life you absolutely love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.